Good evening, all. I welcome Professor Dale Pinto, CPA Australia President, to the podcast today.
Thank you.
So, beginning with looking back at your own CPA journey, what choices or skills made the biggest difference in getting where you are today?
Yes, I think in answer to that, there's two things I'd say. Firstly, and most importantly, is getting out of your comfort zone, because you don't grow when you're living in your own bubble in which you're comfortable. So let me give you my own example very quickly. So I was born in India, and Dad moved our family for education, and through that we ended up in Australia, and I was lucky enough to study in Sydney and Melbourne, where I met my wife in Sydney, but I gained a lot of professional contacts through that journey. So it helped me enormously, both personally and professionally. But until you take the leap, you don't know what it's going to bring. So getting out of your comfort zone would be one of the first things, I think. And the second one, I think these days, is to find yourself a very good mentor and advisor. So again, in my case, my father was my mentor. He proofread my PhD thesis, knew nothing about tax. I'm a tax person, but he was very good in English, and it came back with no errors and a comment from the examiner saying it was meticulously edited. So I was able to give that to my father while he was still alive, and that was very special. But that was on a personal level, and then I've had lots of professional mentors at my university, for example, and also within the accounting profession, because I think what happens then is you get the combination of your knowledge in your discipline area, but also the benefit of the practical insights. And quite often people will share these with you and tell you things to do, but also things to avoid. And last example I'll use is in my own research. I was researching the digital economy, where there was only one professor at the time in 2003 looking in digital economy and tax. And I was scared as a student whether I should contact him. He was in Holland. And I emailed him, and I thought he would just delete or ignore my email, but instead he responded to me, and he was very happy, and he shared all his research papers and connected me with Big Four people doing my research. So again, that's another example of both putting myself out of my comfort zone, but also having a good mentor. So they'd be my two things.
That's great. Thank you for helping us understand how networking plays a very important role, as well as taking a leap of faith and going beyond your comfort zones. Thank you for that. And with automation, AI, and data analytics reshaping finance, how is the role of an accountant evolving? And what do you see as the biggest disruption over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. So there's no doubt that the accounting profession is undergoing a rapid transformation. So already we are seeing, we do a business technology report, and it's showing that up to 20% of entry-level positions are disappearing. And here I'm talking about things such as data entry, reconciliation, report generation, which are being increasingly automated. But to me, that's good news, because that's the repetitive or mundane work. And what it's doing is freeing up accountants to become more strategic advisors or strategic partners, as we say in CPA, partners for progress. So my simple view is AI will not replace accountants, but it will replace accountants who don't embrace it. And I've got a self-confession. I've got two sons who are in computer science, and they told me three words which I think are really useful for your audience to reflect on. The first one is to embrace it. So you have to get in there and play with the technology. The second one is to adapt. How can I use it in my role as an auditor or a tax consultant or a liquidator? And the third one is to evolve. So that's the biggest challenge, is making sure that people embrace, adapt, evolve. But I think the human skills of communication, analytical thinking, critical thinking, judgment, professional skepticism that accountants have to have, and ethical reasoning will always be human skills. And we are trusted advisors. So people rely on people to do that. And legally, machines are not authorized to sign off on accounts. But I think there are challenges, but I think if we embrace, adapt, and evolve, we can move with it.
That's a very good three motto: embrace, adapt, and evolve. But in addition to the point that you made about how accountants are transforming themselves as strategic partners instead of doing the mundane work, which of course everybody despises, nobody likes to do the mundane work.
Sure.
on a regular basis. So, what could be your suggestions to the freshly graduates to evolve themselves as strategic partners?
Yeah, well, I think it's again a question of talking to people who are working in the new careers. So we've now got traditional careers, financial accountants, management accountants, tax accountants, auditors. We all know what they do, but we've got emerging roles in forensic accounting. We've got emerging roles in data analytics. We've got emerging roles in cybersecurity, fintech, business valuation, and ESG. So I think the first thing I would be doing as a student is finding these people and saying what particular skills you have. And I think, again, you'll find a combination of technical skills. So say in ESG, it might be on sustainability reporting, but there'll be other skills, human skills like critical thinking or analysis. So I think the mindset should be on what skills do I need to develop in order to go into the career. But again, talking to someone who's working in it to get some practical suggestions directly from them.
That's great. So that brings me to the next question.
Sure.
So, how relevant is CPA Australia and careers in consulting, analytics, strategic, and leadership?
Yeah, so we, again, CPA Australia has been around for 140 years, and for a large part of our history, we've had a traditional CPA program. So that's our flagship certification. And then we have professional development products, which are micro credentials, short learning courses, and so on. Most of them have been technically focused around the core areas of accounting, auditing, assurance, tax, and so on. The world's moving now, so we are having to include strategic leadership, strategic governance, data analytics, blockchain, ESG, AI. So we've just released micro credentials on ethical use of AI. So we're all about the responsible usage of AI. So we are undertaking what we're calling our learning evolution, where we are modernizing our program, shifting it from a purely technical offering to one that still has the technical underpinnings of accounting and ethics, but also includes those other emerging areas. And there'll be new areas in the future. So we are going now from a strict fixed model to one with core units, which will probably be accounting and ethics, and then we'll have specializations, and AI and other areas will be that now, and it'll be something else as we go forward in the future. So an adaptable model.
Great. So, speaking about adapting yourself with the changing generation and industry needs, because CPA Australia is prominent in many countries, there will be certain differences, like be it the jurisdiction in which accountants work. So, how does CPA Australia equip itself
Yeah.
for these changes?
Yeah, great question. So again, we are global. We operate in over 100 countries, but I think that's the beauty of becoming a member of CPA, because you become part of a network of professionals around the globe. So we can connect people. Say you've got a business here in India expanding into Malaysia. We can connect that business with someone who is a CPA in Malaysia, who understands the local laws or the local compliance obligations, and member to member, they can do it. We've got a platform called Member Connect, where people can actually post questions such as that. We've now released a mobile app, which again is going to further allow people greater connectivity. But it's simply just having a global network. And we also do a lot of thought leadership reports. So each year now for 16 years, we've done a small business survey in the Asia Pacific region, and we can share that with all our members in the different areas. We do a business technology report now in its 5th year. And again, we are sharing technology adoption, the risks associated with adopting AI, and so forth. So that's under thought leadership, but really it's the global network of professionals that differentiate us from many other bodies.
That's great, because that would be very useful for the accountants to be up to date with all the changes that is happening.
Absolutely.
So moving ahead, beyond traditional accounting and audit roles, what new age career paths are opening up for CPA qualified professionals?
Yeah, so we've rebranded ourselves because we've included a slogan, 3 letters to limitless. And the 3 letters to limitless is designed to show how having a CPA designation can give you a limitless range of careers. So we've got what we call career cards. There's 20 of them on our website, 20 new careers that accountants can have. So Traditionally, accounting's been, financial accounting, management accounting, tax accounting, auditor. Now we're seeing some really interesting stuff, including an ESG accountant or a valuation accountant or a cybersecurity analyst or a data analyst or a forensic accountant who's working with tracing money. And we have told our stories again through our members who are working in these new careers to show people the wide variety of careers we need to adopt in the future. So storytelling for us is really important because it's through people who are working in the area to share that with our members that they can understand the limitless opportunities ahead.
That's great. That's great. And it's also included in the curriculum of CPA Australia itself?
Yes. So
All of
we
these
do
areas.
explain all of that, and the career cards I talked about are publicly available on our website. So it gives you a description of the career. It then gives you the skills you need, and it gives you the jobs and industries in which you can work. So it's just a PDF document that students can pick up and have a look at a glance at, these are the skills, these are the jobs I can get, and this is what it involves.
That surely will help the students make a better choice.
It should, we hope, yes.
And which industry are currently showing the highest demand for CPA qualified members?
Yeah, so we are seeing a very high demand, not just in traditional accounting positions, but in what we call adjacent disciplines. So I'll start with financial services and banking. So I was just in Hong Kong, where I think they have something like 400 IPOs, initial public offerings, that are banked up. So there's a stream of, they can't get enough accountants to do this work. So financial services and banking is one. Self-evidently, technology and digital businesses is another. Professional advisory would be the third one. And a really interesting fourth one is energy, resources, and sustainability. So this is increasingly businesses are moving to what we call integrated reporting, where it's not just the profitability, but the initiatives they've got with sustainability. And the belief there is investors will go to companies like that because they will see a holistic picture, not just the dollars they're making, but how they're acting responsibly. And the new generation, as we all know, are much more attuned at being for purpose. They want to look for businesses and companies, and they themselves want to come and work for those businesses. So that would be the fourth one. And then multinational corporates remains popular because, again, young people want to travel, and that's a way of them traveling with their work and paying for their holidays as well.
This surely provided our students with a better insight about what are the different options that are available. So speaking a little about financial services and banking, so can we dig a little deeper in that particular area, and can you help us understand what are the different roles that probably they could perform?
Yeah. So I guess, again, there are traditional roles, including regulatory ones.
Sure.
So again, financial services can be very complicated because you've got different rules in different countries. You've got risk assessment and compliance design. So that's a second area that would be within that area. And you've got capital reporting. So companies have to report, especially where they operate in many different jurisdictions with different rules. So again, accountants are there to help them navigate that complexity and comply with the reporting requirements.
True. Correct. So, which industries? Yeah, I think for multinational companies, what does the CPA designation signal about a professional's competence and mindset?
Okay. So I think for multinationals, there would be two things at a very high level. One is technical competence and rigor. And with that is ethics. So we are big on ethics and integrity. And the second one, and really, again, this is what CPA is all about, is a globally geared designation. So you are becoming part of a global designation. We used to have a tagline years ago, which is your passport to a global career. CPA is your passport to a global career to enable you to move between jurisdictions. So some of the specific things that sit under that is we benchmark internationally to make sure our qualification is relevant. We think local, but we look at global insights to inform that. So, the thought leadership reports I spoke about earlier are an example of that. We always exercise professional judgment and ethical leadership. We understand business, not just accounting. It's more than the numbers. It's a story behind the numbers. And finally, it's a commitment to lifelong learning and being adaptable. The world's changing rapidly. The world's evolving. So I'm in tax. So, we're having to advise on tariffs in different jurisdictions, or it might be foreign exchange rules, which change a lot, or interest rate volatility. So you've got to be a very adaptable, flexible learner to be able to be an effective accounting and business professional. So I think I'd summarize it. If you did the CPA for a multinational, you'd be globally credible, you'd be commercially minded, because you have to be, but you'd be trusted to lead. So our role is to be trusted advisors, not just to our clients, but to act in the public interest.
In a word, if I have to concise, it's just a global brand that any student would carry once they complete
Correct.
CPA
It's a
Australia.
global designation.
Correct. Yep. So speaking about one takeaway to the students.
Yep.
So if you were a finance student today, what would you do differently to future-proof your career? And what advice would you give to the students who are considering CPA pathway?
Yeah, great. So again, apart from going back to embrace, adapt, evolve, I think being open to new possibilities. So I think you have to be very adaptive, flexible, and resilient, because the world's changing very fast. So you can't just think, I'm going to study something like history and it's going to be the same tomorrow. It's not like that. So you have to, number one would be stay open to opportunities, whether that's going to another country or whether that's learning the rules of a new thing like AI. Stay open to opportunity would be one. The second one would be to go back to what I said at the start, was to find yourself good mentors that not only support you, but challenge you and say, why are you doing this? Why don't you branch out? Or why don't you try something different? And I think it's only a mentor who's really got your best interests at heart that can tell you that. So sometimes we get too inwardly focused. And finally, and it comes back to AI, AI is going to be here. So I think we have to embrace that, but look at how is it going to make me a better professional? So humans are always going to be in the loop. So I would be looking at practical ways of how AI is going to help me in my future career.
That's great. Thank you, Professor, for all your valuable insights today. I'm sure this will inspire our students and help them progress in this CPA Australia journey.
Thank you very much for having me here.
I thank CDL for providing the facilities. I thank Director, Associate Director, Dean and Associate Dean, as well as the Department Coordinator of Department of Professional Studies for this wonderful opportunities. Please stay tuned for the next episode. Signing off.